Today, I'm going to discuss a story about a father and two sons. So the youngest son, I like to call him scientific genius. The oldest son, I want to call him social restructuring. And they were in the father's house. And the youngest son said, "Give me whatever is coming to me." Saying that to a father in that culture while he's alive is tantamount to saying, "I consider you dead. Give me what owes to me." So the father divided his own livelihood and gave this young upstart who was saying, "Give me what comes to me. I can do better without you. I can do on my own." So I compared this to scientific genius that went astray far away from the God of benevolence, about whom all pioneer scientists believed. And they believed that scientific laws were given by an intelligent universe of intelligence, and scientific laws were given by a lawgiver to be investigated and to be redeployed for the beneficence of man. That's how Michael Faraday, Louis Pasteur, and Lord Kelvin and all great scientific minds began in the second half of the 19th century. But in 1859, Karl Marx wrote Das Kapital, and Charles Darwin wrote Origin of Species, which was really not origin of species. It was only about survival of species. There's nothing about origin there. If origin was, he suggests that survival of the fittest was the way by which what was already present got selected. So there is no hint or clue that Darwin gave how the origins came, how the original species came. All that was added much later. So this young son said, "I will go and do it by myself on my own." And he went and squandered all his wealth with riotous living, just the way the scientific genius has gone so far out. They are making genetically modified mosquitoes to send all over Africa to remove the Anopheles culicifacius, the malaria mosquito. We want to ask, what else will the genetically modified GMO mosquitoes inject into people whom they bite and sting? What is programmed into the mRNA of a genetically modified mosquito that becomes a prick with a foreign protein? So my parallel is this. In that ancient story, father had two sons, and the younger son went far away, as far as possible from the father, out of his sight, out of his mind, he thought. But the son was always in the mind of the father. And he wasted and squandered. He wasted and squandered the ecology, scientific resources, all resources mankind had to serve and keep for next generation. All squandered between 1970 and 2020. And 2020, the pandemic spreads. Meant to be a secret one, but because of lab leaks, it became public. That was the high point of science gone wrong. But those who are unrepentant about their scientific genius will not give up with that. It's a strange thing that only Africa did not have, because South Africa did not accept the theory of the protein and the prick. Now, they are designing some other method how to get the whole world under the global patch. Science gone wrong. But in this story about the father and two sons, the younger son who went far wrong came to his senses when he became bankrupt. No one would help him. He joined a civilian of that faraway place that was probably the red light district of Palestine at that time, place called Gadara on the eastern shore of the Sea of Galilee, and nobody would give him anything. He was starving, he was hungry. We are told famine is coming, plague is spreading, and a few global elite is scheming and planning how to get all the resources of sovereign nations under their power. But the son said, I'll go back home and I'll go to my father. In my father's house there's wisdom, there's safety, enough for me to begin from scratch. That was the great, understanding the son came to, enough for me to begin from scratch. That's what the son said, and he returned home, thinking, I will tell my father, accept me as a servant. But the father had been waiting long, and he was looking out, probably in the direction where the son had gone. And son was scraggy, badly kept, emaciated, in tatters, but father recognizes him at once. Without waiting for the son to come, he runs and covers the son's shame with his elegant robe. Imagine an older father running. In that culture they never did that. But son was returning. Son was remorseful. More than remorseful, he was turning into godly grief. He said his little thing, Father, accept me as a servant, because I do not qualify to be a son. Father's thinking was, you never qualified to be a son. I begot you. It's a belonging. It's a birth story. It's a God school. You never had to qualify. When you were wetting the pampers and doing number 2 everywhere, I still clean you up. And your mom bore you in her womb, risked her life for you. Therefore, I will do the best I can for you even now. So the son came back to the father's house, and the father said, my son was dead, now living again. That's how the word born again comes. Living again, new lease of life, new opportunity. That's how the father would treat him. Then comes this, and he said, my son was blind, now he can see. He was lost, now he is found. It is from this great story that the story of John Newton, in which he composed Amazing Grace, came about. John Newton was a captain of a slave ship that plied between Africa and Bristol in UK. The closest to hell, they say, in that century was the slave ship. Slaves will be packed like sardine, and half would die before they get to Bristol, and they would abuse the women. That was the slave ship that John Newton was commanding. But his mother was a godly lady praying for this son in this wretched business. One day he gets caught, the ship gets caught in a storm and about to sink. He cries out to his mother's God, and God saves the ship. God saved him, and he composed this wonderful hymn, Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I am found. Was dead, but now I was blind, but now I see. That's how that song came out, with the words of this prodigal son. The elder one, I call him the social restructuring son, because we have lost family values, marriage for lifelong, fidelity, trust, one life partner, caring for family, kids in turn caring for parents. No, social restructuring, they go all over the world and leaving families behind. Siblings are scattered all over, and older parents have to think of themselves. That's what social restructuring, intended design, social re-engineering, by causing havoc in economic systems, and rulers who align with global elite and deplete national resources through corruption and other methods. So we are just up for grabbing. This is not only Sri Lanka's problem, though we have had many unfortunate things happening in Sri Lanka. And The second son is out of the house. Father says, "Son, come in. Your brother was lost. Now he is found." It was right to be sad at the beginning, but it is right to be glad now. So we are expecting a worldwide turn of science back to God, worldwide turning of young people gone astray according to what they want to do, back to the house of God the Father. Let's hope that this would be redemption now and soon, when economic resources, ecological resources are all dwindling and people are not taking hope in the world. But we have a God of hope, a good shepherd who has furnished a table for everyone's life. And he has a path of righteousness that will save us from the troubles, the trials, the tempests, the storms that are sweeping the world. So just say, "Lord Jesus, come into my heart. Be my good shepherd. Lead me to the best you always had for me." Thank you for listening. I'm Dr. Lalith Mendis. If you want any more clips on science and reason, please send me a WhatsApp to +94 74 211 5011. If you are in Sri Lanka, it is 074 211 5011. Thank you for listening.